Okay. Well, welcome once again. Gentlemen and lady friends, this is the this is the ghetto film studio of yours truly, Joe, the face of Vagmar. And hopefully this will be the interesting second part or concluding part, whichever I decide to call it as, to my my Sentai video that I posted earlier. This is a more off the charts kind of video. Plus, let me know what you think of, I guess, the new perspective. Yeah, I know, I slouch. I'm sorry. It's a force of habit. So in this one, I actually made notes. Like, I got notes, them all. Trying to be professional and whatnot. Trying, possibly failing. Depends on your point of view. But in this one, so I just wanted to get more in depth as to, like, Sentai as a whole, and tell you, why I like it, why I prefer it to Power Rangers, which I like both. So, the haters, just stay where you are and don't get your lightly colored spandex in a bunch. And no, I know it's not all spandex, so just relax. But first and foremost, I just want to fanboy just a little bit. I know I've seen a great deal of Sentai, at least full complete series. I've seen, I think, 15, if I remember correctly. And first and foremost, I do want to say that right off the bat, my first one in the beginning of this video is Magiranger. Or the full title, Maho Sentai Magiranger, is, I think, to date, like, still my top Sentai. It's like, that's my goal. That's my go-to. That's what gets me going. And I've seen the complete Sentai, like, Sentais before that. Like, Deca Ranger. Deca Ranger was before that. Wasn't it? I'm just sitting here losing all my Sentai street cred. Man. But anyway, I've seen those before Magiranger, if they didn't come before, like Genki Ranger, which is awesome. Deca Ranger, I've seen. Goanger, I've seen those Sentais completely before, I believe, Magiranger. I'm not sure if they came before, but I've seen them. And, they were all good, and I loved them. And, of course, while this is a Sentai, basically video, those of you who know, if you watched the last video, or those who are in the know, that Power Rangers is adapted from the Japanese Sentai. That came first, so let's not get that twisted. But Power Rangers, as in itself, is more or less like a wholly different entity and should be able to exist on its own. And I've come to, over the years, be able to do that. At least from the start, I've been able to do that, because I've seen ones. Okay, start that back up. I've seen the Sentai, and I've seen the Power Rangers corresponding series. Like Deca Ranger, Power Rangers, SPD, I've seen and I've liked. Genki Ranger, Power Rangers Jungle Fury, which took me a bit to get into, but I was able to watch that as well and be okay with. And all the ones up to that, O-Ranger, Power Ranger Zeo, In Space, Mega Ranger, Gingaman, Lost Galaxy. I can go on and on. And I was able to watch each series perfectly fine. I'm like, okay, and just, it's like, I took fun in, like, finding the differences between the Sentai and the Power Ranger. Like, it's like, oh, they introduced this villain here, which wasn't in the Sentai, or they changed this storyline as for it wasn't the Sentai, or as in the case with Lightspeed Rescue versus the Go-Go 5, where the Power Rangers invented a completely new Ranger for it, which would be the... Oh, I'm sorry, I probably should have prefaced this at the beginning. Massive spoilers if you have not seen any of the things that I'm talking about, be it Power Rangers or Sentai, so I will put that in the description. Spoilers ahead. You don't want those spoilers? Please stop watching. If you don't stop watching, it's your fault. Don't complain to me. Okay? Good. So, anyway, back to that. It's like, yeah, see, if you've seen Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, the Titanium Ranger is a wholly invented, that's an American thing. They invented the Titanium Ranger for Lightspeed Rescue. In Go-Go 5, there was no 5th Ranger, not even any support hero that could fill the 6th Ranger slot. There was just the 5. So, as like in that regards, yes, they changed things, they introduced things, like in Power Rangers Time Force, which is Time Ranger in the Sentai. Rancic, the main villain, was completely invented for the American audience. He's not in the Sentai. Actually, the blue gangster-looking fish that had all the medallions on it, he is actually the main dude from Time Ranger until later on things happen. But anyway, back to point. Up until that point, SPD was like the last one. I was able to watch Sentai and Power Rangers side by side. I'm like, okay, these things are awesome, these are cool, these are different. Each existed as its own entity, and I was totally fine with that. Until Magiranger happened. And I can tell you now, before then and since then, there has not been a Ranger series that I have completely, totally, 100% fell in love with like I did with Magiranger. And it was the complete setup as a whole. I mean, first and foremost, the theme of it was magic. And although Magic and I don't really tend to get along overly well, I do love the aspect of it. It's like elemental magic and time magic, which is really freaky. But I totally love the whole the mysticism and the magical aspects of it. It's like, I love that. Second thing it had going for it was, it's like all 5 Rangers, or Warriors, however you want to call them. So I'm just going to call them Rangers, so relax. All 5 of them were siblings. It was a family, which is just one thing that Sentai has above and beyond in like that kind of category as opposed to Power Rangers. Generally, Power Rangers, they're generally 5 different people. They're not related, and they come together and fight the good fight, more or less. And later seasons like Lightspeed Rescue, Ryan and I can't remember her name. Pink Ranger and Titanium Ranger, they were brother and sister. And in Mystic Force, I believe the Pink and Blue Rangers were related. I believe. But Magiranger, they were all siblings. And that really stuck a chord with me. It's just that, and the villains. They had really good and interesting villains. At least to me, Magiranger may not be your cup of tea, and that's totally fine. We can still be friends. But it's like, of the villains, of the storyline, the entire way through was just fantastic. Again, spoilers. If you haven't seen it, go stop this, go watch it, and come back. I will not be offended. It'll be alright. We'll actually be better friends because of it. But like in the first in the first episode, I believe, it's like their mother, who is like a ranger herself, she dies. Just, yeah, that's it. Pretty sure in the first episode. If I'm wrong, please. I haven't seen Magiranger in a bit, which I need to fix. I need to rewatch that again. I was like, but yeah, and it's them, it's like, coming to, no, second episode, sorry. It was like, first episode, yeah, and they like, she gets the 4 older siblings, not the youngest, who's Kai, who's, love you, Kai. They all ranger up, but he's like, not ready. And through a trial, or it's like, oh no, I've got to like man up and like, you know, it's like, it's going to be okay, or he's develops his courage. The whole theme of it is like, courage is magic. So if you have courage, he's like, you'll never have a shortage of magic. He's like, you can make things happen. And just with anything in life, if you have the courage to try to do, you can make things happen. I think it's another thing I like about Magiranger, that theme behind it of courage being magic. But, you know, he rangers up and then their mother dies, and, you know, they have to go on, not only, like, with that, weighing them down, but trying to come together as, like, a team, because, you know, siblings fight. That's what they do, but when push comes to shove, they come together and they hold their own. It's just how families are supposed to be. So, that being said, that's one of the main things that drew me to it, them being family and having to work towards that. And there was a thing, as I'm going to bounce around from to Mystic Force. After, let me get through Magiranger first, and then I will explain as to why it hurt Mystic Force's chances with me. Through the entire run, as I'm watching these characters grow and evolve and develop new magical powers, and it was just an interesting series. There's one episode in particular, and again, spoilers. It's like where they are granted a legendary power, which is supposed to be derived from their highest form when they attain like this level. It's like I cannot explain properly. It's like, but you know, they have this, from where they come from, Magitopia. They have this form, and they get this legendary power and they use it, but they haven't progressed, like, and it's evolved. Is maybe not the right word for it, but that's the only word that I can think of, to the point where they can, to that point. So they kind of like jump the wall to get to that point to use that power. And it's like they learn in the episodes, like, okay, well, if you use that power again, it's like you're going to progress to that level, but you're going to forget everything. Like, they would forget that they're family. They would forget each other. They would forget that bond. And what do? It's like, well, they got to go stop the bad, so they use the power and go do. And the thing I love opposed to that, as I will get to in Mystic Force, is they did it, and then at the end of the episode, they were like, yeah, it was the right choice. We did it. And they're just there. Melancholy is like, it's like, well, yeah. It's like, well, when we get to Magitopia and we become these beings, let's meet up again and become a family. And they are just resigned to the fact that, yeah, we made this choice. We're okay with it. And they just stand there. It's just like, it was a powerful moment for me. And it's like, would you choose, like, I was like, well, I can go and do this, but I'm going to forget about my family that I've loved and cared for all these years, and we're just going to be strangers. We're still going to see each other every day, but we're going to be strangers and not know. I was like, would you be able to pull that trigger? I mean, it's like, I haven't always gotten along the best with some members of my family, but it doesn't mean I want to forget them. It's like, I couldn't handle that. So, it's like, I love that aspect of Magiranger, and just Sentai in general. And I will come back to that. Now, Mystic Force. Mystic Force was not Magiranger. which was my first problem with it. I could not get into it. It took me about 3 years of trying to get through the first episode to actually get through the first episode and then watch it. But I had to go into it saying, okay, this is not Magiranger. This is a Power Ranger series. I will give it its due. I will let it, as a Power Ranger series, try and win me over. Which, after that, it was good. It's like, I watched it and I got all the way through it. Not comparing it to Magiranger. And after watching the whole thing, I can say, not comparing it to Magiranger, I still don't like Mystic Force. It's like, I just don't like it as a Power Ranger series. The main Ranger, Nick, I just didn't like him. I couldn't get into him as a character. Nick didn't do it for me. It's like, I didn't like him as a Ranger, didn't really like him as a person. He just wasn't there. It's like, Chip, over the board fanboy with the thing, and there's nothing wrong with that, but just the portrayal of it there was just too over the top for me. And I know it's kind of weird, but yeah, it kind of was. The Pink and Blue Ranger, whose names I cannot remember. I'm sorry. Oh wait, Blue Ranger was Maddie. Yeah. Pink Ranger is the only one that I can't remember. It's like, they were okay. Maddie didn't overly care for her because, I don't know, every team needs a bookish, somewhat by the books, washy kind of person, but I didn't care for her. And Pink Ranger, aggressive, in your face, party girl. For the most part, she was a DJ, which was awesome. But Green Ranger, saving grace of Mystic Force for me was Xander. He was the Green Ranger. He was awesome. So Xander was the saving grace of Mystic Force for me. But I will say, it's like getting through all that with Mystic Force. Like, again, problem comparing it to Magiranger and just Sentai series as a whole. When it got to Mystic Force getting their legendary powers, it didn't carry the same weight as it did in Magiranger. Because for them, the whole three-parter, and it was a three-parter, was them basically, okay, they're used to being able to use their magic, but then they started using it for everything. Just basically becoming lazy jerks. And then they screwed up with that, and if I remember correctly, it's like all magic was like taken away, like, and the world got changed. Oh, right. Their lamp got stolen. Oh, yeah, they had a genie. And don't hold it against Magiranger. Don't hold it against Mystic Force. Magiranger had it too. So, but their lamp was stolen. The wish is like all good magic disappeared or whatever. So dark magic ruled. And so because they were screwing up with their magic, being lazy jerks, that was allowed to happen. So they went to the Tribunal of Magic to get their powers back. And like, yeah, we were lazy jerks, but can we have our powers back? We want to save the world. And the Tribunal of Magic was justifiably so in saying, no, you were lazy jerks. You don't get your magic back. Go. Which, yeah, if you're lazy about it, hey, you don't deserve it. You're not going to take care of it. You don't deserve it. So, they went back and, as always, it's like, well, we don't have our magic, but, we still got to fight anyway. And so they went and fought and got cornered, and the Tribunal was like, okay, we'll give you your magic back. And they gave them their magic back and gave them the added boost of their, legendary powers. And that was it. No big moral choice, no chance of loss, it was like we have to make this choice to do the right thing, and there will be this great price to be paid for doing it, but we're going to choose to do it anyway because it's the right thing to do. It's like, we have to do that. Mystic Force is like, nope, okay, you got your magic back, and oh yeah, here's a legendary mode. Yeah, go. You're good. Thanks. Good job. And that is why is one of the things that I prefer, why I prefer Sentai over Power Rangers is because in Power Rangers is like up until the current series now, I have not seen any of Super Mega Force, so I cannot speak, beyond Mega Force. But up until that point, in every single Ranger series, no Ranger ever dies. They just get depowered. It's like the worst thing that will happen to a Power Ranger in their fight for justice is that they lose their powers. That's it. They are still alive, they can still go on, but they just don't have their powers. That's it. And you can argue that Kendrix did die in Lost Galaxy, but she also came back at the end. So, she didn't die. Or at the very least, she didn't stay dead. So, but in Sentai, which, yes, maybe it's something to overthink for like a kid's show, but I think it's something important for kids to know. Doing the right thing. It's like, yes, sometimes there are prices to pay for doing the right thing. Just like there are prices to pay for doing the wrong thing. Standing up for what you believe in, standing up for what is right. It's like, sometimes you have to put the things on the line to do that. It's like, I hope it will never be something as extreme as your life, but sometimes there are situations that call for that. And I think that's an important thing, an important lesson for children to learn. That, yes, doing the right thing can come at a price. Fighting for honesty, for decency, for truth, for, people that you love. It's like, there are prices to pay, and sometimes people give their lives for those things. For the things that are good, for the just, to protect people. I mean, policemen, firemen, medics. It's like everyone who's ever served, which my heart is with you. It's like you have something that I don't. It's like I freely admit that because I don't think I'd be able to do it. And you jump up and you do it gladly, and I appreciate that. And it's like I will always keep you in my prayers for that. But for young people to know that, I think that's an important thing. Maybe they would have a bit more respect for those who serve if, they grew up with that. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking it, but that's how I feel about Sentai. You learn that for me. At least that's what I learned from it. So, I know we're running a bit long on the time. But it's those are the kind of things that I love about Sentai. Like, Magiranger, again, is like my #1 series, and I would like to go into depth more about it, but I'm going to have to rewatch it again to give a proper analysis and have like a list on like a paper like right here. Because it's right here, so I'm looking at. As always, the last thing I want to go to, and just take a few minutes for that, is Reds. Red Ranger, he's your leader. He's your boy. That's what you go to. And I will speak on other Sentai in another video, probably not in the Sentai series, but it's like my #1 favorite Red of all time is Bon from Magiranger. It's like he is the Red that I judge all other Reds by. I mean, he's just it. He's fantastic. I love his attitude. I love his mannerisms. I just love his personality. He is the total package. And I know every red in every series. That's actually something my wife had helped me come to terms with when I watched Ghost Sager. Which, yes, I like Ghost Sager. If you don't, that's fine. But Attila, I couldn't get into him. It actually took me like a bit to actually watch Ghost Sager. It took me a while to get to that first episode because I couldn't take him, and like it's just, and it's just something about it. Just I couldn't, it couldn't do it for me. So I have since gotten through it and like watched it, and I got hooked, and I really love Ghost Sager. Like the entire run through, it was good. But I couldn't take him as a red, but it took me a while to, I guess, with my wife to help me understand that was the red that they needed. He was the one that they needed. Just like Bond for Decker Ranger, that was the red that they needed. And it's important to have that red because he brings the team together. He just makes them all believe. And he did really well with that. And so I would be remiss as to finish this because I think I'm running longer than I should have because I'm rambling. I'll try and keep it more concise in the next video. I do my best, but I make no promises. To say that, I know like there are plenty of outlets for meeting people of, you know, other people who are into Sentai. And, you know, if you check on Facebook, there is a group which I'm a part of, and I'm thankful for my membership. The Facebook Rangers. It's just a group of like-minded Sentai and Power Ranger fans, and probably just general Tokusatsu fans in general. Who, if you love Sentai, that's awesome. If you love Power Rangers, that's awesome. Please don't argue the two. It's like we kind of don't dig that. And if you dig it, fine. If I don't, you need to be cool with that. But it's a good place to find like-minded people. I find a lot of good friends there. Let's see, one of the people that got me into the group itself, Lauren, if you see this, you're awesome. Keep rocking on. And all you other people. But yeah, hopefully in part 3, there's probably going to be a part 3. Probably going to make another one because it's just too much Sentai. Or just preface them with other titles. But that's it as a whole. And I should go because I've rambled on for way too long. But you guys, be awesome. Be well. I will try and get these out on a more regular basis. I don't really have a schedule for this. I'm going to work on one, and I will get back to you. But as always, my name is Joe. These are my mouth words. Thanks for listening, and be well. Post in the comments as to other topics you would like me to talk on, because I have plenty of topics I want to talk about, and I'm going to continue doing that. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And before I sign off, as for the next video, I think I'm going to start researching that, but there's another particular fandom that I'm into, and I'm going to research that before I pull the aforementioned. Till next time.